my mom met my father and went on a wonderful 10-year adventure with him. And then when I was born, at that point, they didn't break stride. Took me on expedition for the first time when I was 4 months old. About a month after, they started giving me swim lessons. And it's been a continuous journey ever since. My grandfather taught me to dive when I was 7 years old. And actually, the summer that he taught me to dive, which was an incredible experience, to be 7 years old and to be on a boat with your grandfather and have him put tanks on your back and fit the mask and put little fins on your feet and take you to the side of the boat and say, okay, now jump in there and take a breath. And at 7, you're sort of like, well, gosh, is this going to work? Is it going to be okay? But it did, and I was hooked. And that same summer in Monaco, he was also the director of the Oceanographic Museum of Monaco for many decades, and would invite me to go to the museum in the mornings very early so that we could go feed the fish. And I loved feeding the fish with my grandfather. There was no one at the museum. It was very early. It was just us. And we played this game one day. We were downstairs in the aquarium, which isn't a large aquarium, but it's quite nice. And I said, Papa Grand, which is what I called him, I said, let's play a game. This will be our kingdom. And you will be the king, and I will be the mermaid princess. And we went from one aquarium to the next, and he taught me all about the fish. He showed me the big ones, the little ones, what they did, why they were important, how they lived together, and how we as stewards of this kingdom needed to make sure that they were taken care of and that we made decisions that included their best interests. And really gave me a fantastic lesson on the value of biodiversity and our role in the scheme of things and our responsibility for not destroying this fantastic web of life that we are part of. And those lessons have stayed with me. Often I would ask him lots and lots of questions, and he would say, Alexandra, I can't answer any more of your questions. You'll just have to go and see and discover for yourself what's out there, because it's the only way that you will understand it. And if you understand it, you will fall in love with it. And if you love it, you'll want to protect it. And so my whole life has been really driven by that desire to go and see and to understand more about this incredible place called planet Earth. And a few years ago, I was living in Costa Rica. I had gone down there as a consultant for different civil society groups and worked with all sorts of different stakeholders, from very poor fishing villages to heads of state, and pretty much every stakeholder group in between. And what I realized over the course of those 2 years is that all too often we look at our water resources, and they are so vast and so interconnected that we put them in separate buckets so that we can manage them in a more efficient way. So we put rivers in one bucket, lakes in another, groundwater in another, then we have all sorts of buckets for the oceans. Some people look at what's in the air, some people look at what's underground. But none of them talk with each other. And we forget that we live in a hydrosphere, that the very basic principles that we learned in 5th grade about the water cycle become totally forgotten as we move on into adulthood and go about the business of managing our communities and managing our societies. And it occurred to me that we need to change the conversation that we're having about water to include these ideas, to start to explore our relationship to water, and maybe even redefine it. So last year in February, I assembled a motley crew of filmmakers and friends, and we ventured out into the world on a 3-month journey investigating our connection to water across 5 continents. And we looked at water and health, we looked at water and agriculture, we looked at water and energy, we looked at water and our spiritual and inner lives, and how the degradation of that resource can impact every aspect of our society. When I came back, after having looked at all these global issues, I heard a lot of people say, well, okay, but those are water issues that are happening to them over there. We don't really have those issues here in North America, do we? I mean, we're doing pretty good. I was like, wow, I've got my work cut out for me. We need to help people understand that water issues are not an issue of them over there. Water issues concern all of us equally. Water is our most important life support system. It is the vehicle through which we will feel the impacts of climate change. It is the fluid that supports life, but also takes all of the things that we discard in our society and shares it with the rest of the world. So this year, I am taking my motley crew back into the field for a 4-month journey across 14,500 miles of North America, looking at all of these over there happening to them issues that are happening actually in our own backyards. And I'm very excited because the project that we did last year for me was really proof of concept. It was very much a pilot. It was sort of the first time that we had done something like this. And we're seeing if it was going to work, and it did. And so this year, it will be an official National Geographic expedition, the first on freshwater issues in North America. We will be distributing our media to over 30,000 websites and blogs, reaching hundreds of millions of people around the world with short films, photos, and articles. And I'm very excited. We'll be going from Alaska to Colorado, down through Florida, back up through the Tennessee Valley, looking at that Kingston spill and asking the question, what is clean energy? What is clean coal? Can there really be such a thing? Going up to the Great Lakes, over through the St. Lawrence and back down the eastern seaboard to the Chesapeake, and ending with a huge party at National Geographic in mid-November. Keep you posted on that one. Might be worth going to. And our goal is to help people understand that water is, above all else, a universal solvent, but it is also what connects us more than anything else, because it is the one thing that every human being on this earth shares, is our need for water and the opportunity that fresh water, clean drinking water, provides at the most basic level for our health and our ability to develop our societies, all the way up to our need for it geopolitically, industrially, and in every other aspect of our lives. So that's, in a very small nutshell, what keeps me going.